Cliff Page. I am a media lecturer here at Chichester College.
Okay. How long have you been teaching media?
I have been teaching media for 5 years here at Chichester. I have a background in music and sound production, which I used to teach here and at Brighton. And essentially through work I've done outside in voice recording and sound over, voice over, things like that, that's my link through to the media lecturing thing.
Okay. What are the problems that you faced by students in media?
Biggest problems, I suppose, really, we're keeping up with technology. I think we are trying to teach students techniques and theories and concepts for media now. By the time they kind of get into industry, if they go through university, those techniques are kind of old school these days. And so really, to a certain level, it's keeping up with technology and kind of keeping on top of the advancements in techniques and softwares, hardware, so that we can actually kind of teach students current techniques.
Okay. What were you doing before you came to Chichester?
Before I came to Chichester, again I was saying, was sound production. I used to teach music production and sound production in Brighton, which kind of had elements of voiceover and bits of Foley, so sound effects, recording and things like that. Bits of music to film, so there's kind of a link through to the media there, but yeah, essentially come from a musical kind of background.
And what did you learn from media in life?
Media in life, essentially the power of media. You can sell anyone to anything through the media, which is a very powerful tool. I don't necessarily always agree with the power of the media. I think it can be manipulated to persuade people to do things or believe things that maybe aren't necessarily accurate. But it's a very powerful tool. If you want to convince people of things or sell things, the media is the best tool to do that.
Last question: what can this course do for students?
Discourse media, be it level 3, level 2 and HND, HNC media, I think again it gives them the tools in various media genres to create media products, giving them awareness of the techniques used for those products, but also kind of academically researching the audiences, having an understanding of all of the planning and pre-production stages and how important that is in creating a media product. But also kind of here at Chichester, also it's about just that kind of interpersonal skill. There's a good pastoral tutorial kind of side to the course, so it's kind of team building, and kind of learning to work together as a team, which again you'll find is important within the media world.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
If you could introduce yourself and say what you do here.
My name's Callum Strachan. I am a teacher in HND Media at Chichester College.
And how long have you been teaching here?
I'm into my 5th year of teaching at Chichester now. I started in 2011 part-time, and I've gradually worked my way up to teaching full-time over the past few years.
Okay. What are the problems faced by students in the media?
I think for young people today there is so much media to consume and it's so readily available that it's easy for young people and for students to get a little bit caught up in particularly social media, what's being said on social media, what's being said about them on social media. And for students it seems that they are very attached to their phones, they are very concerned with making sure that they are as up to date as possible with their friends, with Instagram, with Twitter, with Facebook. So the biggest concern I would say for students with regards to the media now is the immediacy of it, the fact that they have it at the palm of their hands. and as such it can become a bit of a distraction. It can become a bit of a distraction in their studies, and it can become a bit of a distraction in other experiences as well. For instance, going to concerts and spending half the time watching the concert through a phone, or going out and having to make sure that they are taking selfies, and therefore that their appearance is as good as possible. In that regard as well, I think it has made some young people very image conscious. They're very concerned with how they look, because the way they look can be criticised by people they know on social media, and that is very unfair. That is very harsh on students, and it's an anxiety and a concern that the media and social media seems to make worse rather than make better.
Okay. What were you doing before you came to Chichester?
Before I was a teacher, I was a student, and I studied film studies for 3 years at Portsmouth University. I then did a master's in film and television studies, which was for a year. I also did a period of work experience in London working for editing studios and post-production studios, where I was able to look at how post-production's handled on a very professional basis. It's a very interesting industry. It turned out it wasn't actually what I saw myself doing long term. It wasn't what I saw myself doing for the rest of my life or as a career, but the experience of seeing these very creative professionals working to briefs, working to deadlines, was invaluable, and something that I've been able to take and to tell my students about, to give them a bit of a heads up and insight into what it takes to actually work in the industry.
Okay. What did you learn from media and life?
What I've learned from media is there's so much that I've learned from media. There are so many different ways of consuming media, and there's so much variety in media that through television I've learned, for instance, about foreign cultures. I've learned about current affairs and current events. Through films I've learned about certain historical events, whether these are being portrayed accurately or as fiction. But you also with media, there's a lot of emotion communicated through media. You see a lot of pain, you see a lot of heartache, you see good news as well, which can be very uplifting and emotional. You can see people who are incredibly passionate about certain beliefs and certain values, and that's good because you learn so much about how people respond and react to different things, and that can inform your understanding and your opinions and your beliefs. And media is so important for giving you that broader knowledge and spectrum to create your own personality, to develop as a person, for instance.
Okay. What can this course do for students?
This course will teach students about all different types of media, particularly the practical elements. So, for instance, producing and creating magazines, newspapers, television adverts, documentaries, web pages. So students will be able to get hands-on with a very wide range of media products. But in addition to that as well, they will learn more about how media is constructed and how media is constructed to promote certain values, and how language can be used to convince audiences or make audiences think and believe the way that a media publication might want them to. So in a way, the students will be able to learn how media communicates with audiences in order to present an emotional or intellectual response. So students will then be more able, when at home, when with friends, to be active in how they consume media and be active in what they take away from media and how they respond to it, rather than just passively responding to media.
Could you introduce yourself, please, and say what you do here? Okay, I'm Claire Jackson. I'm a lecturer in Media Studies here and course director for A-Level and AS Media Studies.
And how long have you been teaching media studies, the subject?
Oh goodness, 18 years.
Okay. What do you think are the main issues and debates in the media at the moment?
Okay. Misreporting. Worries about internet safety, things like that, particularly with youngsters. Can't think of any others off the top of my head, but they're two of the main ones, I think.
And what were your jobs before you came to Chichester? What other media industries or media companies did you work for?
For media,
Yeah.
other than lots of other career routes. For media, I worked for Virgin when I was in my late teens up in London. I worked for the record company and for their new mega store that they opened in Oxford Street. And I did 2 years on Radio Victory in Portsmouth.
What did you learn from your career in the media industry?
Crikey. Where do I start?
Just go, just answer naturally.
Mainly how to get on with people. You've got to get on with people, otherwise you don't get anywhere. Doesn't matter how good you are at the media thing, if you're no good at getting on with people, you won't get anywhere, basically. I think that's the main thing. Nothing phases me in the respect I can do anything. Because in media you have to be able to adapt very quickly, and that has stayed with me. And promoting people, giving good feedback and good coverage to things that I think deserve it.
And what do you think is so special about this course at HND in Media Studies?
The progression route for students, and it coming as a theoretician, there is theory in it, but it's a very much of a practical based course. Although you will have to do theory, it's not as heavy as some of the degree courses that are out there on theory based. Some where you're always writing, say. So for people that are more practical skilled, this works really well. And obviously people with language barriers, because practical side is easier to communicate than actually having to write in academic English and things like that.